life in vinyl. I did part one almost a year ago. I profiled 20 albums that I've listened to pretty much throughout my life. They're not necessarily my favorite albums or what I think are the best albums, but just 20 albums that have been part of my life. Either, years ago or maybe even a few days ago, some of them I still listen to, So just albums I've been listening to pretty much all my life, or at some part anyway. So first thing I want to do, I have a couple shout-outs. Richard 4K 579, a big shout out to you, Richard. Thank you for your support, my friend. Okay, so Richard, big shout out to you. And Guppy Bill, hope you're feeling better, my friend. I was thinking about you. Bill told me he was having an MRI on the 1st. I assumed he meant November 1st, so I hope things have went well with that. So, and a big shout out to all of you as well, okay? Now, I got some of these creamsicle licorice. They got some, or Twizzlers, I should say. They got some filling in the middle. I got some Cheezies, HAWKINS Cheezies. And water. Now, I want to show you something real quick. Vinyl has been on. There's been a real resurgence of vinyl lately. But I want to show you something. I have an Edison record from about 100 years ago. I want you to see how thick the difference is. Now this is an LP 33 1/3. This is 78 speed. And this here had a whole different type of stylus. I'm not going into details, but it was very interesting. And, I'll put that over there. But like I said, that was from roughly 100 years ago. I'm not even sure if that one is actually vinyl in the sense that we know it. I think it's more sort of a type of plastic and some clay and different things mixed in with it. Very interesting anyway. So now, one more thing I want to show you. Like I said, there's been a real resurgence of vinyl. Now, I've still got about 250 vinyl records. I do know I'd have a turntable. The last time I bought a turntable was in 1977. And this is the one I bought. This one right here. I still have the original specs. You can see all that right there. All the original specs that I bought. This is like brand new. And, these are my HPM 100 speakers. I no longer have those either, but I don't want to show you too much because I'm planning on doing an old school audio video. And I'll be talking about, my life using old school audio all the way up to present day. So I'm just going to jam this in here like that. Okay. So I'll put that away. There we go. Now, like I said, there's been a resurgence of vinyl. I read somewhere that vinyl outsold CDs for the first time in 2020. In 2020, they outsold CDs for the first time since 86 or 87, something like that, which is just really amazing, I remember when CDs first came out, a lot of people were saying, well, I don't think I'm going to like CDs because I like vinyl. I like the big album jackets. The whole tactile thing where you can pick it up, feel it, take the record out, look at it. There's always pictures on there, lots of pictures and lots of writing on there. A lot of people felt they're going to miss that. Now, I agree. But at the end of the day, when I buy a record, I'm buying for the music. And personally, everybody likes, they all have different tastes. A lot of people say that the sound from vinyl is better, it's richer, it's warmer. That may be true. But one thing that I don't With CDs, there's none of that, and it's crystal clear. So we all have our own preferences. I still like vinyl. I think vinyl's cool. But personally, I think CDs have a much clearer sound. When you listen to old recordings, sometimes it's too clear because you weren't meant to hear all that. And what I mean is a lot of stuff when it was recorded back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. A lot of times, engineers knew there'd be a certain amount of loss, a certain amount of frequency response. So, and even a lot of artists would tell you, it sounded great on tape, but when it came on vinyl, there was, we kind of lost something there, So with CD, you not only hear something that's more crystal clear, but you hear some of the blemishes and the mistakes, everything as well. So, anyways, it's a matter of preference. I still like vinyl. I think vinyl's cool, and I want to buy another turntable at some point. I've been saying that for years. I've got to get another turntable, and I want to get one where I could transfer my music to another, like some kind of a file. Now, Linda bought a small little record player off of Amazon not too long, maybe 6 or 7 years ago now, 5 years ago, whatever. And she was playing all her old Susie Quattro records on it, stumbling in, that sounds really good. But anyways, I should get on with it here. So like I said, there's been quite a resurgence of vinyl. I also think that a lot of people, including myself, don't really buy that much music. I can't remember the last time I went to the store and bought a CD or a vinyl. It's been years and years and years. So the people who are buying them, who are buying music, are buying vinyl, obviously. And I'll just say one more thing here. When CDs first came out, you walk in the store, there's like a few CDs on a rack, and the rest was vinyl. Just bin after bin after bin of vinyl. Then that started to change, where it's all CDs and no vinyl. And then maybe about 15 years ago, I went to a local store, and I noticed they had some vinyl records. I thought it was just kind of like an anniversary thing or a commemorative thing, and from there it just seemed to grow. Now, every record store you go into is just vinyl, and the stuff, some CDs, but anyways, I want to save all that for my old school audio video, which I plan on doing probably in the new year. So, my first record, once again, these are not my favorite records. These are just records that meant something to me throughout my time. Paul Simon, Graceland. Love this record. It was really a breakthrough record. Using all the music that he did. It was just absolutely fabulous. Lady Smith, Black Mambazo, just absolutely fantastic. So good, I remember when that came out, and I think it won Album of the Year, which surprised me because I was always kind of skeptical and kind of doubtful about, the Grammys and stuff like that, because sometimes, some of the stuff would win I just wouldn't necessarily agree with. Not that I have to agree with everything, but when it did win, I was pleasantly surprised because it was a very good album. And it was just such an amazing solo effort. Very good. I could listen to that album over and over and over again. I love all the bass, the drums, the whole bottom end. It's just really, really good. Really nice. And that's one record I remember I got that for my birthday. Gee whiz, it was probably my 30th birthday. It came out in 86. My 30th birthday was 87. Thereabouts, anyways. My ex and I had we had mutual friends, and she worked in a record store. And she gave me that for my birthday. It was either my 29th or 30th birthday, something like that. But I just love it. It sounds so good on my old stereo, which I no longer have. Now, voice, but I enjoy them, especially when that band has a lot of songs that I like. Not just all the commercial stuff, but just in general, a lot of good music. And this record it's a double album set. There's two vinyls in there. A lot of good songs on here. It's really good. You know, the Allman Brothers, one of the best. I don't know if you call them Southern rock bands, and you know, blues and everything, just so good. Very tight, very together. I just love the way these guys play. Very good. I never saw them in concert. Wish I had, but I never did. Now, speaking of greatest hits, Nazareth, greatest hits. I saw Nazareth it was in the 70s, late 70s. Got some great pictures of them. Good concert pictures. They played. And I remember the lead singer. His voice was really, it was almost gone. It was very, very crispy, very throaty. He almost didn't have a voice left. But no, they still sounded great. They played everything you wanted to hear. I remember one time they were one of the big stacks around. They were huge. Very good. But this is a very good record. I also played this to death. It had, you know, everything on here. If you want, you know, this is like the quintessential Nazareth collection, for the most part, anyway. Now, the Police. What a power trio! Wow. You know, Sting is like a musician's musician. You know. I love their rhythm. Love the drums, you know. Stuart Copeland, such an amazing drummer. Remember they played in Vancouver. And I didn't go. Wish now I had. If I had a nickel for every time I said that. Back then, my ex and I, we just only been together a short time. We were renting a house, trying to make ends meet. Going to see a concert. It's just kind of hard to justify that, you know. So, you know, need a sip of water. These creamsicle twists are pretty good. Now, Loverboy, typical 80s new wave. This was an album that I loved immediately, but got tired of almost as quickly. Listen to it. You know, I thought they were very good. Very, very tight, very together. They were, like I said, you know, the quintessential 80s band. There's a few bands I think of when I think of, you know, the 80s, and this is definitely one of them. A real commercial success, this record. I mean, look at the way they're dressed too, typical 80s, you know, stage gear. Now, I have a lot of Steely Dan records. This one, Pretzel Logic. I can't say I have a favorite Steely Dan record because I love them all. I love Steely Dan. And I've said in a few other videos a minute, I listen to Steely Dan, it takes me back mainly to the 70s when I was hanging out with my buddies, were all living together. said, there's very, very few Steely Dan records. Well, I'm not gonna say there's very few Steely Dan records I don't like. I have several. There's not one that I don't like. I love them all. They're excellent records. What I meant to say was very few Steely Dan songs I don't like. There's one or two that seem kind of corny, you know, but for the most part, I love their music. I just think it's just fabulous. Now, if you like live records, Geils Band is a classic live record. Wow, this album really cooks. I saw Geils Band in 1982, Vancouver. They were touring on the back of the Love Stinks album, and they released an album of that tour as well, which was also very good. But this one just seems more raw, you know, no overdubs and nothing like that, just straight off the floor, really good. Absolutely fantastic. So Geils Full House. Love this record. I've listened to this and listened to it. Very good. Now, one extreme to the other. Arlo Guthrie. Now, Arlo Guthrie. I love this record too. You know, it's the album's called HOBO'S Lullaby. HOBO'S Lullaby, very good record, but you're not going to enjoy it if you're still in the same frame of mind as Geils. So, you know, I go through phases where I would listen to, you know, to things like Arlo Guthrie, that sort of thing, and then I'd go through phases where I listen to, you know, Geils Band or whatever. But I really like this record. I've got a few Arlo Guthrie records, about 4 of them I think. I really like them. I like them all. Very good. Very good stuff. Now, as long as you're listening to Arlo Guthrie, this is one of the oldest albums in my collection. Not the oldest, but one of the oldest. Leonard Cohen. Songs of Leonard Cohen. Beautiful album. Absolutely fabulous. I love this record. I remember listening to this like 50 years ago. You'd almost think that he sat down on the couch and somebody was telling a microphone and he just started playing. I just love the recording, the production, not overproduced at all. It's perfect. Look at the size of that cheesy. Now, going from not overproduced to, I'm not really saying that's overproduced. I think that was just their sound, but Boston. This album blew me away when I first heard it. Just blew me away. Of course, it was very much a commercial success. And it was a very commercial record, there's no question about it. Tom Scholz is such a genius, you know. Tom Scholz right there, he's just such a technical, electronic, musical genius. It's amazing. But I like this record at the time. I'm not sure if I could actually put it on and listen to it now, but I sure did for a while. First time I heard it, I was working in a logging camp. I just played it and played it and played it. I love Bradley Delp's vocals, very good vocalist. Now, here's a horse of a different color. he's got a good sense of humor. It comes out in his lyrics and his music. So, very interesting record. Son of Schmilson. Okay. So, another greatest hits, best of the Doobies. Love this record. Really like it. For this time frame, it had everything you wanted to hear. You know, China Grove. You know, listen to the music, you know, everything. I said Loverboy was a quintessential 80s music record. This is a quintessential 70s record. Doobie Brothers. Never did see them live either, but liked their music. Back then they were like one of the hottest acts around, I remember. They were so good. The first time I heard Doobie Brothers I was still living in Saskatoon, so I think I was about 16, so 50 years ago. I think it was China Grove was the first song I heard. And it just really blew me away. Doug and the Slugs. Cognac and Bologna, or Bologna, how we pronounce it. Doug and the Slugs, they had that song years ago. I bought this record about 40 years ago. And they had they released a 45 called Too Bad. Remember? Too Bad that you had to get caught. You know that one? They released the 45 and it just blew up. So of course they had to put out an album and they redid the song, completely redid it. And put it on the album. This whole record is very good. Surprisingly, Doug Bennett, who passed away a number of years ago, was a very good lyricist. Great performer, great singer. Another artist with a really good sense of humor, and it really comes through in his lyrics. But you know, when he gets serious about his lyrics, it's very good as well. But you can just tell there's a band with a good sense of humor. I mean, you know, it's just really good. You know, some of the songs are a little bit corny, like Chinatown Calculation. You know, the music rhythm's good, lyrics are kind of corny, but everything else makes up for it. So it's very good. Wow. John Prine. I first heard John Prine when I was about 15. I think he had a song called Sandstone. It's about Vietnam. Butterfly coming home. And, yeah. This is a great record. Really, really good. John Prine was such a major talent. Wrote some beautiful songs that he's one of those guys that you hear a beautiful song sung by somebody and you find out years later that he wrote it. You know, maybe his version never did very well, or he never released his own version, but like Joan Baez recorded that song, Hello in There, which he wrote, and her version is beautiful, and I had no idea that John Prine wrote that until years later, and I had heard her version, you know, like 40 years ago. Very good record. Okay. I think these guys are one of the most underrated bands ever. April Wine. These guys have been around for years. I first heard of April Wine in the 60s. Jerry Mercer, the drummer, is now in his 80s. I first heard these guys in the 60s. They used to be on TV. They were very popular in the 70s. Did very well in the 70s and 80s. They played with the Rolling Stones, the Alma Combo in Toronto years ago. A very good band, really a real kick-ass type band. Really good. Once again, I never got to see them live, but they could really, really play. Yeah, typical 80s garb there. commercial success, at least not on this continent. None that I know of, but they have a statue of him in Ireland, probably more than one. This guy can play guitar and sing and perform. Writes a lot of his own material, or he did. Recorded other people's material as well, but a very good musician, very good writer. And I just love his guitar playing. His studio albums, unfortunately, studio albums, a lot of them, studio albums a lot of times are very polished, and there's a lot of compression. They just don't, there's no teeth, you know what I mean? They don't really bite. This album, recorded live off the floor, right off the stage, man. It really kicks butt. And this album really has some teeth, let me tell you. It really cooks. I love this. Rory Gallagher Stage Struck. Wow. I still listen to this on Spotify. I do, I just love it. It's, you either love it or hate it. If that's not your kind of music, you're not going to like it, but what I always call kick-ass rock and roll, that's what that is. Now, another band that takes me right back to the 70s, Foreigner. I remember I bought this record, never heard of the band, never even heard of them. Back when I was buying records, it was your average record price for brand new records about $4.99, $5. Of course, other records were much cheaper, $2.99, $3.99. I went to the music store, got my paycheck, and when there was they'd always play music, obviously because it's a record store, right? And they'd always have the album that they were playing sitting on the counter so you could see it. And that was sitting there, I kind of liked what I heard, and I thought, well, that's cool and lazy. Yeah, that's a band from England called Foreigner. So I bought it right on the spot, took it home and loved it, just loved it. My friends all loved it. We just played it, and played it, and played it. Like I said, it just really brings back memories, of the 70s. There's something I wanted to show you. I forgot. I just got to dig it out here. Bear with me. Okay, I just wanted to show you something here. I forgot to show you when I was looking at it. I like what they did with the old label, the old RCA Victor label. I just thought that was kind of cool. Thought that was a nice touch. Didn't mean to get off task there. Okay. Okay. Another guitar player. This guy absolutely sizzles. Johnny Winter. Another live album. 4-piece band, 2 guitar players, bass player, drummer. Everybody just rocks. The drummer's amazing. So good. Just a fabulous, fabulous album. I just absolutely love this record. Captured live, Johnny Winter captured live. I still listen to this on Spotify too. Johnny Winter passed away just a few years ago. He played at a pub not too far from here, which surprised me. But a lot of times as you get older, the venues get smaller. And he was sitting down like a lot of artists do when they get that age. He sat down the whole time, but apparently he just kicked butt. It was unbelievable. Nice. Yeah, Johnny Winter. Very good. Been around for a long time. I just thought he was so interesting because he was albino. And his brother Edgar is albino as well. And just, they used to play together sometimes, but just seeing Johnny Winter perform, like on TV or whatever, just blew me away. He was so good. Now, Frampton Comes Alive. This record, Peter Frampton, musician long before he was a rock star. A lot of experience. And he was very young because, I mean, by the time this album came out, he was only about 24 or something. But wow, this record, for the longest time, I thought it was kind of like I guess I'll call it like a bubblegum record. I wasn't really into it. It was just so commercial. There were so many songs off this record that were on the radio. But when I was working in this logging camp again, I had some friends that really loved this record. They played it, and I just started to really get into it. And now if I hear a cut from this album on the radio, I always crank it up. Frampton comes alive. Like I said, it's one of those records. You know, I got tired of it real quick. I mean, I liked it, really liked it, but I got tired of it real quick. But still, it's one of those records that, you know, it was a part of my life for a while. You know, it was just always on the radio, and everybody had it in their collection. You know. Last but not least, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, brain salad surgery. Now, the thing about this record, once again, you know, studio albums, they, like I said, a lot of times they don't have any bite to them, you know what I mean? Not enough. There's just too much compression, you know? They don't sound very good. I mean, Carl Palmer, the drummer, is just amazing, you know? Wow. Keith Emerson, Great Lake, you know, power trio, very good. You know, when they played the California Jam in '74 there, Keith Emerson, he was on his keyboards, and the keyboards started lifting off the ground, then going like this, you know, twirling around, going up in the air, coming down. It was very bizarre. But they were, a lot of people consider them to be like a progressive rock band. I was never a big fan of Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I remember them from when I was in high school, well over 50 years ago. I probably first heard them when I was 15 or 16. And they had an album called Tarkus or something like that. Tarkus, yeah. Wasn't a big fan, but this album was pretty cool. And I listened to it over and over. I still listen to a few cuts from it on Spotify once in a while, because it's just so interesting, you know, just so different. Well, there it is, my friends. I guess I could bring my Cheezies, my licorice up here. That was part 2 of my life in vinyl, previewing 20 albums. So I hope you enjoyed it. I could do 10 of these videos and still have some records left over. So I thank you for tuning in. I hope you're doing well and looking after yourselves and looking after each other. Keep the comments coming. I like it when people suggest video ideas. I love that. It doesn't mean I'll use them, or I may modify them, you know. But I do have some stuff. I've got a lot of ideas and a lot of things coming up. A lot of more epic stories and stuff like that. And like I said, in relation to this video that I just did, I want to do an old school audio video where I talk about all the, you know, what the audio was like when I was growing up, from transistor radios to those big stereo consoles that, you know, my parents had, you know, with a record player over here, the TV in the middle, and the